Good morning, everybody. TJ, Bull of the Woods. What's happening, buddy? Our camping season's over with, but you know, you guys might still be camping. I don't know. Flatbed trucker, southbound. What's happening? Jerome, what's going on? Jose, haven't been around in a while. Where you been, Jose? Don, what's going on? CB, what's happening? And Alaska Trucker, what's going on? Alaska Trucker. Still waiting for that breakfast invite, Jerry. You know what I'm saying? Wilburn Express, what's happening? I hope you are feeling better and doing well. James G, other side of the state, good morning to you. I couldn't name this coffee spot market time like Snorlord does, because then, you know, that'd be like taking content. Anthony Bressler, good morning, my friend, and how's the family doing? I haven't seen you in a while. And of course, I haven't do a lot of videos anymore, right? But hey, in this day and age, let me tell you something. If you are not using a factoring company, then you are really taking a high risk, because without someone there to check on these brokers and have lists of what brokers are double brokering and what brokers are ripping off carriers and what brokers are really not brokers, you are risking your business because you probably will not get paid. Therefore, that's why we use Thunder Funding back there on the wall. Of course, if you top and bottom, 123LoadBoard, Thunder Funding, those are the folks that we partner with, and great business people, right, to do business with. So I get an email from a company that tells me all of these bad brokers out there, and some of the brokers are acting like carriers and so forth on these brokers, and they're not paying, right? They're not paying. And yes, is the double broking worse than you've seen it? Yes, it is. And of course, you know, here we go with their terminology, right? Double brokering. Well, they say double brokering is only if the carrier does that. That's not true. I don't care. You can mix words. They call it co-brokering. It's still double brokering, because if you're taking a piece of the money and you're not the original broker, then yes, you're double brokering that load. I don't care what they call it. You know, you can fight over politics too, right? Because, you know, what one political party says and the other party says, you could call it, you know, something else also, right? It's all terminology. So why isn't there such thing as co-carrying, right? If you have a company and you're partnered with another company and they happen to pick up your load and take it over there, it's no different than a broker giving it to another broker. Why does a broker have to give his freight to another broker to broker out? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Why is that? They're not a good enough broker to broker it on their own? Why is that? Because just like I was talking to a driver the other day, well, it's a small carrier the other day, and they got a load from a big broker, and they did the load, but they got a call from a carrier that also has a brokerage, a big carrier that has a brokerage. And they said, "Where'd you get this load from?" He told them who it was, and they wondered how that was possible. So, but that's co-brokering. Still might not be able to get your money off of that. Because, let's face it, they're not the ones with the customer. So if you have a problem, how does it get fixed? I'm still looking for an owner-operator to drive for a new contract. If you're in Michigan and you want to drive on James G's contract, get a hold of him. You can put it down there in a text. He can put his email in there or whatever. Why can't we agree that double brokering is actually broker fraud and fraud is criminal. That's true. Fraud is criminal. And they don't let you know, right? They don't let you know that this load is not their load. Because if most people found that out, most carriers, most owner-operators, they wouldn't haul the load. Because they already know that the rate is being manipulated, right? So therefore, that's how it is, you know? And that's what I'm saying, you know, that there's no difference. There's no difference. It's all the same terminology. They just switch the words around. That's all. It's word manipulation. That's what it is. CDN is going to come in here and explain, you know, what that is. But we all know, you know, yes, sometimes there could be, but that's the same thing. Sometimes there could be a broker that needs help and he has another broker friend, but that's the same thing as a carrier. What's the difference? There's no difference. No difference, because neither one of those in that situation has that customer. Would it be considered co-brokering if a driver shows up pickup and later another driver shows the same pickup number? I'm assuming this has happened. It's happened to me many a times. Many a times it's happened. Many a times. CDN, send a super chat to, not a super chat, but a cash app. Send a cash app to $brrn. I'm just kidding. If I can figure out where to put this at, I will put this in there. Here, hold on a minute. Let me see where I'm at. I gotta get this into the chat somehow. So I will probably have to bring up this dashboard right here. Let me see. Let me bring up this. Let me go here. Turn this off. What's up, Shannon Thomas Trucking? What's going on? Close that. There you go, CDN. There's your link. That'll be the only time I put the link up. All right. And then that means I'm going to have to put on some goofy headphones. The things we do, right? See, CDN, the things we do for you. Oh, I could have done it over there, I guess. I guess it's over there on that side of the screen. All right, let me go to here, bring that back up, and of course he is not signed in yet, so we don't have a guest yet. The link's in the comments, CDN. Woohoo! That's what Shannon says. Stuart Hobby Trucker, how offer fix the problems with fraud? What fixed would you like to see and how do you implement it? Well, Stuart, it's hard to fix fraud, right? I mean, there's a lot of it going on right now. The problem is the government doesn't care, you know, unless it's on them. They don't really care. They never cared about this industry. They just want to destroy this industry. Just like the speed limiter thing coming up again, it's already a proven fact that if you run trucks slower than the flow of traffic, and especially by 10 miles an hour or more, there's a problem. But they don't care, because the people up there making these laws and changes have never driven a truck before. They don't know what it's like. And for one, if you slow down the trucks, you slow down productivity. Therefore, you might not get 5 loads in a week. You might only get 3. This is the only industry. Let me repeat that. This is the only industry where you are regulated how much money you can make and when you can make it. Only one. If you want to open up a restaurant, right? If you want to open up a restaurant, you can open up a restaurant. If you want to, 2 days after you open up one, you want to open up 30 more, you can go and open up 30 more. But in trucking, you cannot do that. You cannot take a brand new trucking company and say, okay, I got 1 truck, and then tomorrow add 50 more trucks. Can't do it. Can't do it. Because you need insurance. Insurance companies won't let you do it. But yet, you could buy 50 buildings and open up 50 different stores. No one cares. So, why is it so heavily regulated? Why do they want to keep everything like it is, like real low and hard to get going and hard to add trucks to fleets and so forth and so forth? Why is that? Why is this the only business out there that's regulated like that? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. This guy thinks the worse the economy, the worse the criminality. That's nice. So everybody knows that's nice. No, the link is in the thing there. It's in the comments. Here, I don't know if I can go. Maybe I can find it over here. Let me see. Did anybody see the link come up and scroll? It should have been in there. There's the link. It's right there. Do I need to put it up again? Can't fix anything, but prosecutors can hold criminals accountable. Hey, what's up, RGB? No, it's on there. Let me take a look. Now we're going to have to go and help out CDN here. I'm trying to find. All right, let me go in. Let me bring up another browser. And let's type it in. Let's go there. And there. And I can go like that. Now it should be pinned to the top. CDN, it should be pinned to the top. Yeah, the regulators are out of control. Did enjoy that mother trucker video where a driver confronted a CARB representative calling him out. Yeah, so what's so funny is, you'll have brokers that, they'll do all these checks on you, right? They'll do all these checks. And then if you ask them to send you some stuff, they won't. They take offense to that. Why are you asking me about my company and how I conduct business and everything? Well, it's the same thing. It's the same story. You should have the same vetting as they do, and they should be able to answer that. And if they don't want to answer that, then that's how it is. But anyway, all right. Should we add CD in? Here, let me kick them out. CD in, we're gonna kick you out of here. Just kidding. All right, we'll add you to the right. What's going on, Rob?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going, man. We're having fun with terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
You're looking good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm working remotely today. Got to do a little training.
Oh.
See, this is what co-work offices is about. I can give a little tour if you want, but.
Well, this is what happens when you're high up in the company.
I am the company, am I not?
Well, yes.
I mean, but this is the cheat code to having an office.
Oh, there
right?
you go.
I don't know if I can do this here.
Well, yeah, just turn the camera around and then you can.
Yeah, let's do that there. Oh, I don't want to. If I click back, am I going to?
Don't hit the wrong button. No. Oh, he hit the wrong button. Yes, the link is there, Shannon. It is now. All right. So now, since Rob came back in, there you go.
Yeah, it's a rookie move here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Go here. Right back. Okay, there we go. So this will be the quick little tour. So basically, see what it is. It's basically like an office, right?
Right.
And there's multiple desks. So there's multiple people that can all work in here. They all have there's open areas, or you can rent private offices. You can have a private office, and then you got conference rooms, access to, you can set this facility if you want it to be your office, like you can actually set it up so that it's your mailing address if you want it to be. And so, you come in here, you got your internet, and you can set it up if you need photocopying, got coffee and tea all day that you want.
Now do you
network with people if you want, but it's a cheap way to.
Do you rent space? Is it like you rent it by the month, or?
There's two ways to do it. Yep. Yeah, you can do. There's actually multiple ways. So like today, because I don't need to use it every day. Today I'm using a day pass. I'm a member. I paid for a membership. It's like $60 for the year, I think, or something, and then I get access to the different things. So today I'm just doing a day pass, so I can use the open area. There's a conference room. I often book the conference room, which will then give me access to a big screen. Got a whiteboard, and I got multiple tables. You can probably fit 20 people in there, 30 people in there if you wanted to. So you can pay for half a day, full day pass, and then if you wanted to, you can book a multi-day pass, and then you can also rent an office, which you have to negotiate with the owners, and then you can rent an office, a small office, mid-size office, and then you rent it by the month. Usually they want at least a minimum 6-month commitment, and then after that it's just month to month. Whatever, an office will range between, depending on the size of it, from $500, $600 a month. And then you can leave your stuff, lock your door, and so forth. And then you get 24/7 access with a fob, and like I have a fob, so I can come in here early in the morning if I need to. So it works out. It works pretty handy. And if you want to have client meetings, you can.
Because that way you have a bigger area. That if you want to do the other things, you have that opportunity or ability.
And if you're a monthly member, that also gives you, I can't remember what the deal is, but so many hours a month in the conference room if you want it to be. So
in other words, if I moved up there where you're at and got me an office right beside yours, then Alaska Trucker could come visit us.
100%.
Because you're close.
100%. So,
right? You're close.
Yeah, just Alberta to Alaska is pretty darn close.
Yes, pretty close.
Just around the corner. It's just a little bit straight up and a little bit around the corner.
Right.
So to the topic of the day is your questions about why do some brokers double broker?
Well, no, that's not the topic of the day. That was just a rant, right? That went over to the double brokering part, because some brokers, they're afraid to give freight to some carriers, of afraid that they'll double broker their freight,
100%.
right?
I'm more cautious giving my freight to carriers who have a brokerage. Certainly, I'm a bit more cautious when I do that, and I make sure it's reminded, even though they signed a contract, there's just no brokering, no double brokering. When I know they have a brokerage on every load confirmation, I put it in my special instructions reminder. If any double brokering will result in non-payment, et cetera, et cetera. So, but let's go back a couple steps though. Why do some brokers, will they pass their freight to other brokers to help them get it covered, right? Why are they doing that? And you're saying, why are they not good enough? Well, there's a few reasons. One, they're too new. So imagine yourself. You look at a load, you're like, yeah, that's a lane I want to go to. You look at that broker, and then you go to your factoring company, and it's a no-go because your credit's too new. It's not factorable. So unless, like, if you're like, I really need to get my driver there, this is the only load I see that's viable in that lane, I'm going to call this broker and have a chat, see what kind of rate they do. And if they're going to pay me a decent rate, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I need your credit. Unfortunately, you're too new. I can't get you. You're not a credit approved broker yet. I'll do the load for you, but you have to prepay me.
Right, but they could. A new broker doesn't have to do that though, because they could go to their own factoring company. Because there's a lot of factoring companies out there that will help a broker establishes credit, and their ultimate goal is to get the broker to where they don't have to factor no more.
Right, that is. But remember, at the beginning though, sometimes if someone has, maybe the factoring company they go to won't even take them on, right? So there's that risk. So
Well,
that's
well, if that's the problem, then a bigger broker shouldn't want to take their freight anyway, because
right. But the point is that if you're a small brokerage, sometimes some carriers won't even call you on your freight, and they won't help you cover if there's a certain load or certain lanes. Like maybe nowadays, but when I started into the brokering world many years ago, there wasn't some of the financial assistance available for small brokerages like a factoring company that can step up. If you get qualified by the factoring company, then your credit can look better on the load boards. But reality is if they just look up your company name, forget the factoring company, your factoring company is going to look at ABC brokerage and say, sorry, not factorable. So not saying you can't take the load. And often when you're a new broker, you have to basically be prepared to prepay a lot of your loads for the first 6 months to a year. And if you get some regular loads and regular carriers and saying, look, hey, I've worked with you 2-3 times, let me keep prepaying you. After 3 months, if I show you I do a good job, will you be my reference? You're like, yeah, because you've proven that you had good confirmations, the information you provided was solid, right? Everything you told me was accurate. You always prepaid me on time, and the loads working with you was easy. And if a broker can do that when you're new and show a carrier get 4, 5, even just 5 carriers that you do that with, and then you also get their factoring companies and you pay, that was the trick. My original factoring company, like with my original freight brokerage, we were small and that's what we'd focus on. We ensured that we paid all, even if we had customers didn't pay us, we always paid the factoring companies right away, because then we had then on our broker package, we had a reference to Riviera Finance. So we had a reference to different factoring people, and that was our reference. So that when carriers would see, oh, okay, yeah, you can call this company, and they would confirm, yep, they pay every 30 days, pay 20 days, or whatever it is. So that's, the first step is that's start one. So and then what happens is, unfortunately, you get two, the one that starts with a T and ends with an L, they're one, and the other one that starts with an L and ends in an R is the other one that they'll actually hunt the load boards looking to see that your load's been on for a while and hasn't been covered. So they'll say, let me help you cover that load. so that we can get it covered for you. And then you know what? When you're desperate trying to cover a load for your customer, and you're like, okay, boom, I've been on this for a week and I haven't got a load because of my issues with credit, and carrier's not, because the problem is like I said, if they see that you have a bad credit rating, a lot of carriers just scroll by you and they don't even look at the load. So you're the ones that has to hunt, and then you call them, you talk to them, oh, sorry, you're not creditworthy, not creditworthy. So you're in this battle. So then what happens is when you get other brokerages, they'll call you up and saying, hey, I see you've been struggling on this load. I got 30,000 trucks. We can get this covered for you right now. So you know what? You're hungry to make money. So guess what? You end up doing it. That's one of the reasons.
And who suffers is the carrier.
Yeah.
Right? Because
yep.
the freight gets, pieces of it get taken as it goes down the list. Right?
Well, the biggest thing I see is that the more, but also more so how the carrier suffers on the money, but also the carrier suffers on the communication. Because if I give you the information and you don't convey it exactly as I did to the carrier, and let's say that carrier that you pass it to, they rebroker it to someone else. Now there's fourth level deep. Well, the communication levels, they're missing pickup numbers, or there's all kinds of information missing that would have been a better experience for all parties involved. And that's what sets the stage to all this negativity.
Well, the big negativity is the carrier pays the price because he goes to the shipper, doesn't have the pickup number.
Now he looks like a fool.
He looks like a fool. And then he could be sitting there for hours waiting for a pickup number. Right?
Yeah, and he's phoning, and then when they say, oh, I'm trying to reach my customer. Well, guess who the customer is? It's the other broker. And then that broker is trying to their customer. So it takes forever, right?
Right.
And that's why.
Well,
and this is
another reason why, Rob, it takes forever is because no one uses the phone.
Exactly. And that's where I just actually had this conversation with someone yesterday. In the world of freight, when we get issues, let's use a typical example, detention time for drivers, right? So we always say it's so frustrating. Why can't we just do detention? Like, I would say 70% of brokers pay the carriers and then they fight to get the money back and hope that they do. And then there's that 34, maybe it's 60% that will just pay the carriers if it looks legit, because I like to look at it legit. Like, I just want to justify when a carrier calls me and says, hey, my driver's been there for 4 hours. I'll say, okay, what's the problem? What's he seeing? He or she seeing at the shipper or the consignee? What are they seeing as the issue? And I'll phone that facility and verify, hey, we've had the truck there for this amount of time. Is that true? Yeah, we had a problem. We were short people and we're backed up. Okay. And then, if it seems justified, because I've been in situations where carriers tried to charge time, and I talked to the crew, they're like, no, we loaded, driver did this, driver did that. After we finished loading, the driver sat in his truck for an hour and a half before he left. Well, I can't pay for that. So, but the point where I'm going with this is that in the world of logistics, when problems happen, if you have to go to, say, for example, one of the big brokerages, right? TQL or someone like that, they have to go to, they have their national account people, and then they got their operators that are booking these loads. And when a problem happens, so they have to go to these different people for approvals. Well, guess what? If you're a national account rep, and you're trying to charge, let's say they sent the driver to the wrong warehouse, and so the carrier wants to charge an extra $500. So you have to go to the national account rep for this approval. Well, he's so distant. He has no context of what actually really is going down. He just sees extra $500. No, I'm not paying that, but has no clue about it. So the further you are away from a situation, then it's so easy for those people to say no. Just like the owner of a company in a manufacturing facility. If you're the warehouse manager and you need a new piece of equipment, a new pallet jack or a new forklift or repairs on equipment, and you're bringing these requisitions in, they're getting turned down, then you're up with your supervisor saying, I've put in 4 of these things, we're not getting approved. Well, we don't need to spend money on that. Then all of a sudden, your supervisor comes and works in the warehouse one day and is trying to push around a broken pallet jack, or is trying to drive a forklift that takes forever because the hydraulics are shot and it's barely lifting up. And then he realizes, oh, this really sucks. And then once they get their hands in there, they realize, oh, now they're much more adapt to accept the extra charges. But the further, no matter what you do, I've seen it happen in trucking companies as well with carriers. You go, you talk to the dispatcher, and if it gets escalated up to the owner just here's some information, says no, we're not going to do that. But he hasn't been involved in all the details, because why? It's so easy to sit back when you're 2 arms away, when you're 100 feet away from the situation, and you're a decision maker, just to say no because you don't have the context. Like, right? It's so easy. But when you're in the depths of it, that's where the cusps of it's so hard, because if you're right there talking with the driver and he's begging for money, like, man, I've been here for 5 hours, right? Shouldn't you pay me something? And but yet someone else won't approve that. So that's the challenges of logistics. So, but yeah, back to the double brokering. One reason is the broker is one, they have bad credit. Two, they're shady and they have bad reviews. So a lot of carriers are bypassing their freight, but yet they have the freight. So they end up calling on other brokerages that can help them, that will take their freight to cover it, and then they get it covered that way. Kind of I'd call that a backdoor, because they're shady and they're using other people to get their business flogged. And three, they're intentionally double brokering for the sake of trying to maybe pocket some money, and they're planning to shut their business and do a midnight run.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents on that particular topic there. So.
We're working. You're just sitting there talking.
Well, I gotta get to work. I got lots on the go, and I got my freight auditor arriving in 21 minutes, so I gotta
freight auditor.
Yeah, I have a person that works for me 20 hours a week.
Oh, that comes in and
basically
audits you.
No, I call it a freight auditor, but really what they do is they work remote. But I get together, like now it's been a few months, so I said it's time we get together, and they agreed. Is what they do is they help me track and trace loads, and when shipments have delivered, they verify the PODs for me, because my office ultimately does it, but I know what I'm looking for, because my office, like, I don't send bad invoices, right? I don't send, I make sure that there's charge, because a lot of my business is hourly. I deal with a lot of LTL freight, and LTL freight, fuel surcharges are constantly changing. Additional, like I'm constantly battling. Like, my customers have no idea how hard I work for them on the back end to make life easy for them. Where I get extra, like I get a tailgate charges, inside delivery fee charges, and I'm getting all of that taken care of for them, so they're not being billed.
Well, that's what people don't understand. Paperwork is crucial in this business, right? In the proper paperwork.
Right, and that's why I hire a person to help me, because the amount of volume I'm doing for a single person, like I might just be a broker agent, but the volume, like I'm doing, you see my numbers, I'm doing 1,600 loads a year by myself, which doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me, it is. And so what I'm helping is that if a customer or a carrier or my head office calls me about a load from 2 years ago, I can tell you everything about it. Why did we pay extra here? Who approved that? What was this PO? I can tell my customer. I can tell anyone about anything about every load.
Right.
My I's are dotted, my T's are crossed, and I don't complete a load until I'm satisfied it's 100% accurate, that I've got all of the the backups, and I'm not going to just, because my office pays me as soon as I complete it, it's paid on the next pay stub. Well, on the next commission statement, basically. But I don't do that, because then if there's changes, so I wait. So often my loads have delivered and I'm 10 days in, like I'm sitting here with a very large screen of loads that are not completed, because why? We're going through each one, and there's lots of changes and audits to it.
Well, before you leave, here's one big mistake the single owner operator with his own authority makes when he comes from a big mega carrier, is that he'll go to the receiver, and let's say there's 12 pages to the bill. They give him back page 3 signed. Well, if he's with a mega carrier, he just send that in. Doesn't matter, he gets paid. But when you're on your own, the broker's going to want all 12 pages.
I equate it to this way. Here are the two things I'll share. One, if you think about the life cycle of a bill of lading, I realize it's like, our world is not perfect and we can't always get it. But if you think of it this way, if you don't know much about bill of lading management, here's what if you can hone this in, you're golden. You're 10 steps. If you want to make yourself different than anyone else, if you understand this, you're going to set yourself apart. Number one, when you arrive at a shipper, there's a bill of lading. So the shipper signs saying we're loading said number of pallets that contain said number of pieces. Once that shipper signs that's in the truck, they've now provided, transitioned the possession from them to the carrier. Once the driver signs and accepts that, now they've accepted it at the terms in which they did. And they sign it, now it's in the possession of the carrier. Now again, that's why it's so important. It sounds so simple. You just got to drive in, back into the dock, go from one warehouse to the next. Every time you leave a dock, you should be pulling forward, and whether it's 5 in the morning and it's pitch dark, or 3 in the afternoon and it's sunny, is hop in that truck and walk all the way around inside. Because why? What do those forklift operators do in these warehouses? They're trying to be fast, and often they use the wall as their guide. So
Right.
that's why you see walls peeled back. So you need to identify, because if you get to one place and they say, well, we got damages, and they can clearly show you that the damage came because you had a wall puncture, that look, all these boxes on this one side, there's 3 pallets in a row that are punctured. Well, then you can see that the wall. So that's because that's what I always ask customers when there's a damage on a freight. I say the first question I say is, what was the carrier's actions and or equipment that contributed to the claim? Until we can prove that, just because there's a claim on the carrier's truck doesn't mean it's the carrier's fault. We have to prove negligence by the carrier. Either the driver, slammed on the brakes, turned hard, or he had defunct equipment. He had a hole in the floor that caused or a hole in the wall, or something that caused it to get wet in the rain, or he had splinters in the wood that punctured bags underneath. If it was bags of sugar and there's stuff sticking, or the wall had a puncture, and the wall panels pulled out and it punctured stuff. So we have to prove that. And because what if it's concealed? Where was the damages? So there's a lot of steps there. But when you think about bill of lading, shipper signs that they've loaded X amount on the truck, you verify in the bill of lading, and then you sign it. Once you get to the consignee unloads it. When they've signed, they're accepting possession, and you're confirming that the load was delivered. But again, always checking in between there, because now, and then you think about it like a scuba diving, because you might be a little bit familiar with this, but scuba diving, you always have your regulator, and you have an octopus, which is your spare in case of an emergency. When you have an octopus, if there's an emergency, say you and I are scuba diving, and you go out of air, or I go out of air, you don't just let me take it and willy-nilly, because I'm going to be panicking. I just ran out of air,
Right.
And you're gonna, I'll be panicking. I just got to plug in my phone here, and so what do you do in scuba diving? What are we taught in scuba diving? You control the octopus one. You don't just hand it to the person. No, you hold on to their vest, and you hold on to the regulator. You control it. If they start panicking, you pull it away from their mouth and you push them away until they calm down. Then you bring it back, right? So just like a shipper, sometimes in certain situations, there's ways to be tactful and professional, but to politely say to the shipper, hey, unfortunately, the regulations, because even if you're the owner operator, if you're the MC holder, you're one truck carrier, they don't need to know the difference. You just say, oh, my operations team requires that we get all copies of the bill of lading,
Right.
for auditing purposes. Because if you don't, go ahead.
Here's what I tell them. If they don't want to give you all of them, they say, no, we keep these. Then you say, well, can I please take a picture with my phone?
That's right.
Of the bills, and you can keep whatever you want. Because once you have that scanned copy, that's good enough.
Well, the other trick of the trade is, before you go to the consignee, take a picture of all those.
Right.
pages.
That's what I
There's
tell
12
my
pages
guys.
that you're bringing in. So, because what may happen is, they may not sign all 12 pages, right? Because half of them might just be packing slips. There might be the master bill of lading, and then the packing slips behind it, which can be 10 pages long. So you want to, at that point, take the pictures in advance, and then whatever they get signed. If you think that the other pages should be signed because you have a copy, say, oh, actually, you should be signing pages 1. Because what if the bill of lading is 3 pages and then 6 pages of packing slips? So you got to say, well, actually, I need all 3 pages signed, right? And then you take those, and then at least you got the pictures. And then you can see what you get back from the shipper. The consignee, if you're like, nah, this doesn't look right, you can go back inside. Again, it's I know it's a pain, but if you don't want to have any money held back from you, you got to go through these steps.
And it only takes a few seconds to take a picture of all the bills, and that way you have them. That way, if you only get back 1 out of 4 pages, you just open up your scanning app, and you take the one that's signed, and you put it in place of the one that's not, then you have all the copies.
And here's my little, this is what I've been doing for years, is when you get every load, whether you use a TMS, preferably you do, but even if you don't, if you use OneDrive through Microsoft or Google Drive or Dropbox, have some kind of a cloud storage system, because you can, it's on your phone, it's on your laptop, it's on your tablet. Each year you put in, say right now we're in 2023, my first I put 1-January, and then I put underneath, I put active, or just, you can keep it simple. I'll just make it for, as if you're an owner operator. I just say January, and if you have a load number, put the load number, create a new folder in January called, trip 17546. And all you do is you open up that folder, you put a copy of the load confirmation you got from your dispatcher, any documents from the dispatcher, any documents from the shipper, any documents from the consignee, put them all in there. And then you got, and if you need to, type up a note and save it in there. I mean, preferably put it in your TMS, but if not, all you have to do is make up a Word document or a Google document. Cost you nothing to have a Google document, and you just start making notes on the load, like, this load took this long here, and just start making notes. Save that note, because it's easy to reopen on Google Drive on your phone. You can pull it up. Yep, arrived at shipper this time, arrived this time, or if it's on the bill of lading, perfect. But if there's extra issues, take a minute, and guess what? If you don't feel like typing on your phone, you have voice to text. Put on the device, talk, and it will put it to text. It may have some grammar issues here and there. At least you got the gist of it down. So if a year came by and you got audited, and someone called you, why you got all the history of what happened. What's this person saying? Well, okay, this person here, Jose. First question is the rail lines, Schneider Intermodal, etc., CN Rail. When I work with them, guess what happens? 30 minutes before the 2-hour mark, I get an email or text notification. Detention begins in 30 minutes. And when I do that, I call my shipper, and then from there, I say, we have to start paying the driver in 30 minutes. Sometimes they say, well, it is what it is. We're short-staffed, or our forklift's down, we're super behind, so we'll pay it. And other times, guess what happens? In 15 minutes, I find out the drivers, they're loaded and on their way. So if drivers are sitting at docks for 4 or 5 hours, who have you called? At 30-minute mark, if you're an owner-operator, you should be emailing the person that you got the load from, so that's your dispatch. If your dispatcher does not email the broker or the customer, whoever they got the freight from, well, that's on them. But if you own your company, if you're the motor carrier, you email the broker or the customer you got the freight from 30 minutes before. 30 minutes detention begins, and then after that 30 minutes detention, that you send another, but add some context. Hey, I've been here, I checked in, there's 15 trucks, they seem to be disorganized today, or their forklift is down, they told me they're short-staffed, whatever the case is. Put some context.
And you better read the rate cons, because a lot of them will say that they have to be notified in 30 minutes before it starts to qualify on some rate cons.
That's in there as well.
So
and the other thing is,
what I did is every hour. So if you got 2 hours, when there's 1 hour to go, I'll message the broker and say, still not at the dock. Detention starts in an hour.
Yeah.
And then at the 30-minute mark, you do it again. But at least if you do it at the hour mark, you give the broker time to contact that shipper or his customer, and maybe they can get you in and get you out.
Yep. And so that's where, there's so, there's
communication.
So much, and it's so much in this industry, and that's why having a TMS is so valuable. Even if it's not just for the financial reports that it can offer, more so is that you start to put in, like, if you guys talk about it, you mention it, but Steve does it all the time. He'll see a load posted. Oh, that's going to be this product at this warehouse. If you've been around the block more than once, you know some of these shippers, you know their habits. So if you get to a shipper and you found out that, oh, actually you're supposed to enter from the west side of the building, you put a note in your TMS. So this way it's a reminder, hey, next time I go up there, I need to enter from the west. And sometimes and hey, as a power tool for owner operators and carrier and drivers or dispatchers, apologize to a shipper that if you like the broker, you share that knowledge. Sometimes if you didn't like the broker, you have that knowledge, because Steve has talked about it, you've talked about, where all of a sudden the load is, the next week you're booking the same load with another broker. So sometimes if you know that shipper frequently goes through different brokers, then I would hold that Any nuggets of knowledge you have about that shipper, keep it close to your chest. And then when you need to, when the shipper's trying to be, a new broker comes along, and you're like, oh, here we go again, and he's trying to be really cheap, you can say to them, well, I've done 15 loads. How many have you booked before? And I can tell you the following here. Here's what I'll do for you. I'll show you the following. And if you're telling me that this place loads in 1 hour, you pay me the price based on what I said, and I'll do this for you. If you get me in and out an hour, I'll deduct $150 from this load count. You can take $150 off. If I get there and I'm loaded and in and out in that 1 hour time slot, like you said, but I know it's not. I have been there 10 times, and it's always 3 to 4 hours. So I want this rate, otherwise I can't take the load. Okay, I'll take it, right?
Yeah, that's like we use a TMS, right? So we use AXIS, and it has capabilities to email the broker. As long as the driver does what they're supposed to do and say they arrived, the broker gets the email, knows that the truck's there at his customer, what time he's there. Then when he departs, it lets the broker know that he departs.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
But it also timestamps when he's there, when he's left. Therefore, for detention, there is a timestamp trail.
And also with those TMSs, usually there's two types. The automated way, where if the driver does it, but there's also the, hang on one second, I think my person is here.
All right, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Go take care of business, Rob.
Yeah. Oh, that's yours?
All right, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for coming and seeing me.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks so much.
See ya.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
All right, so there goes CDN. Let's get back to business. 123LoadBoard. Here it is. In person load availability for van. The load availability is looking good this week, although we all know rates are in the tank. But if you look at the green areas, this is where you will do the best business for your business. If you're out in here, unless you have contacts or some dedicated freight opportunities, you could suffer a little bit. But if you go to one of these areas, because it's a good paying load, always check there and see what's coming back or what's going within a 2 or 3 state region for like a regional haul. All right, we could take a look at some loads. So I'll click Define Loads, and let's create a new search. Jackson, Missouri's in here already, so let's just use that. We'll do 150-mile radius. It's on flatbed. We'll look at van first, check it out, search, and see what we got. So we can sort. We're sorting by deadhead miles here. We can click on that, and we can sort by rate per mile, which is going to give us the highest rate per mile, not the highest revenue for the load. So here we go. Dixon, Tennessee to Clarksville, Tennessee, Missouri to Missouri. And if you're an owner-operator with your own authority, single person, and you run Missouri to Missouri and you don't have interstate, you are putting your business at risk. Do a lot of owner-operators put their business at risk? Of course they do, because they listen to the wrong people. The broker does not know anything about trucking. Most of them do not. Most of them don't know anything about regulations on your hours of service, and they sure don't know interstate or alcohol permits. Someone will say, well, beer's different than alcohol. No, it's not. It is not. They'll say beer's different from liquor. No, it's not. Ohio, you need it. Kentucky, you need it. They'll say, oh, you don't need it. You haul it, you get caught, you're in trouble, not them, because they will say, it's not up to them. You're the carrier. You're the one that's in your trailer. And you need to know the laws and regulations of your business. Don't count on somebody else to tell you what they are. Do the research yourself. $394 a mile, Circle Logistics, EPS 373. But we'll take a look. Here's the Circle Logistics load. And we can look down here at rate check. It says 326 a mile. Cargo Chief says 337. Green Screens gives you a max of 379, a minimum of 322. So here they are, posted rate 1,000. They're above all of these other rates. You can click on market rates and it gives you those. Profit calculator is always great to use. This will tell you exactly what profit you're going to get off that load. So your total profit's $335 a mile, $851.48. It gives you your miles, your fuel cost. You can change this miles per gallon if you want to your truck, so you get an accurate account. And if you have an additional cost. So if you're on with a company that's 80-20, if you're on with Landstar and get 65-35, you'd put 35 in there. So a Landstar guy get 501.48. If you have your own trailer there, then you'd put 27% here because you get 73. Might even be 72 now, but we'll just say 73. You put it there, it's 581. Now if you had a 20% 80-20 company, 651. So you see you're going to make $70 more on that load from the other company. And that's only this one load. We scroll on down, Tennessee to Georgia, $14.50, $3.48 a mile. Click on that. And here you go. Same thing. If you're at 80-20, you're at $911.89. And if you're over at the other place, you're at $810.39. So on a $1,450 load, this makes it simple. You can see the difference in price. Now, if you want to see the highest revenue load out of there, then all you got to go click on rate, and that's going to open up the highest. So if you want to go to Washington, $1.94 for a grand. PLS, $37.41, $3.26 a mile from St. Charles to South Burlington, Vermont. And you can look down here, 20% company, 80-20, 22.29. And if you were over at, let's say, the Big Blue, 29. There's a huge difference when you start getting into bigger money. So over there, the driver would get $1,900 basically. Somewhere else, that's $300. $300 difference, one load. If you did 5 of those loads a month, that's $1,500 a month, which would equate to $17,500 a year. All right, we have to go. We got things to do. We will see you later. Thursday, we'll be back on here. So we're taking over Snorlord spot Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to try to come on between 9 and 10 and stay on for like a half hour. We went way over that. So if you're looking at good TMS systems, AXISTMS, check them out. Tell them we sent you. And of course, if you're looking at load boards, 123LoadBoard, Thunder Funding. There's scrolling down there. There's the code. There's the code. Nice of you to join us from Facebook. Alaska Trucker says bye. We'll see you later, Alaska Trucker. Big Face Trucker. About time you showed up. A little late, but we won't hold that against you. Yeah. We'll see y'all later. Until next time, drive safe. Negotiate. Take the best rate you can. And don't take no for an answer. Right? Tell them why you need that extra money. And we'll talk to you later. All right.